G'day! Stu from UAVfutures here, and today we're going to be reviewing this tiny thing. Now, when I said that before, I made some inappropriate jokes. I've gone back and I've reshot this thing, keep it family friendly, but we're going to be reviewing the QX90 from Banggood. Why am I so excited about this thing? Well, this thing costs less than 100 Australian dollars. It's like absolutely tiny. It comes with a whole bunch of spares, which is fantastic. You got your FPV stuff on here, and it'll natively bind to your Tyrannus radio, which is just like a blast. Oh, and it's also rocking like Clean Flight and F3 flight controller. So a pretty intense micro. Anyway, let's stick it on the bench and get started. Alrighty, now it comes in this neat little foam box, and the reason I'm showing this is because I suggest people keep these because they're going to make it a lot easier for transporting. So if you just put this in your little case or something, you've got somewhere that's going to keep it secure the whole time. Anyway, let's check out what's inside. Alrighty, so here's everything that's inside that tiny little package. Now we've got the quad, and we'll talk about this in a lot of detail in a minute, but just some of the extras that you get. It's nice that you actually get 2 batteries, and they are, what size are they? They're 600 milliamp batteries, so it's nice that you get 2 of those because that means you can fly while you're also charging the other one. You actually get this little bit of sticky pad sort of tape to mount the batteries, but I don't think that's the best idea. What is really nice, you actually get 2 spare motors, so one clockwise and one counterclockwise motor, and that's really important because this is a brushed build, and when you're flying around with brushed motors, they do have a limited lifespan, so they are going to burn out. And then this is pretty cool as well as getting some spare props. You actually get, if I can open this bag, you actually get a little balance charger, so you can connect up both your batteries at the same time. Just plug this into your charger on the balance side of things, and you can charge both your 1-cell batteries. Anyway, let's have a look at the goods right here. Let's have a look at this QX90. Alrighty, first thing people want to know usually is how much does this weigh. So let's turn our scales on and check out how much that this thing weighs. And it's going to come in at 39 grams. Is that right? Hang on. I know this atom is about 105 grams or so at the moment. 107. Wow. This micro is only 39 grams, so super light. Let's see how much it would be with a battery on there as well. So you're looking at about 54 grams. So straight off the bat, that's a very good sign because the lighter these micros are, every gram counts. So that is super light. I can't believe that. 39 grams. That's crazy. Alright, now I guess we'll work from the outside in and we'll talk about the features that are there. But on the outside, so of course it's running some of these little hubs and props. You get some of these, the A and B ones. And one thing to note, it is using 8.5mm motors. So these have more power, but they will also suck more juice. So it should have plenty of gusto when it's flying around. Of course, it doesn't have any ESCs on the arms or anything like that because it is a brush board. So all that is going to be controlled from the flight controller. And just you'll note too that the motors only have 2 wires because that's how these motors work. If you want to change the direction of a motor, you just would have to wire them up the other way. But I don't recommend you do that because these motors are actually designed to run either clockwise or counterclockwise. Now, moving towards the inside of the craft right here, we do have our little FPV set up, and we'll take that off and have a look at it in a minute. We have our receiver, which I'm very excited about, and our F3 board. So let's open it up and start by having a look at the camera. And it's actually held on by just some rubber bands. So that's nice. That I think you should just be able to easily take that off. And there we go, there is our FPV camera, or is it glued on? Let's have a bit of a closer look. Oh, it's got a little bit of sticky tape on there as well. So there we go. I'm not going to pull mine off, I'm actually going to unscrew it. So if I unscrew it from the bottom here, because it's got these tiny little standoffs that's sort of holding everything together, that way I won't have to take it off that tape that's on the top. There we go. Alrighty. So let's talk about this camera we've got right here. Now this is an absolutely tiny little camera, and you would have seen these on a lot of the tiny whoops that are flying around, but this one, it's pretty cool because it's got race band, so you've got your CMOS camera on the front, and it's also connected to the VTX. I do have some issues about wondering if its durability in a hard crash upside down, just how well is this antenna going to hold up, but other than that it seems pretty stock standard, and on the back here you can see you've just got your dip switches for changing to your 40 channels, so that's pretty cool. I think I have seen on some some of the tiny Woot builds where people have actually separated these two plates and they've laid their VTX, because this is the VTX in the back, they've laid this down flat. I'm not going to bother to do that. I'm just going to fly as this one is. Now right here, this is our receiver, and the cool thing about this, and this is why I really like this combines straight to my Tyrannus, so that is super cool. You can see you've got your tiny little bind button right here, and you actually do get some instructions, even though yes, I ripped mine, that was my own fault. I'm just going to blame it on the dog. But yeah, you do get some instructions on how to bind this up to your radio, but it's great that you can actually fly a micro without needing a module. And from what I can tell, I don't know if this is running S-Bus or PPM. I'm not 100% sure on that one, so I'll have to figure out that. So that's something I'll definitely have to investigate, because I'm not 100% sure on that one. What will be interesting is seeing just how far we can get with the range on this, because this part here, this looks like about the same width of the exposed part of a D4R2 or an XSR. So I wonder if this will be a full-size sort of range or on a receiver, or are we going to have limited range like on some of the Spectrum satellites and things like that. Alrighty, let's check out the flight controller. Rightio, so this is the flight controller, and this is pretty cool. This is an SP Racing Evo, a brushed version, because we are, like, obviously this is a little brushed micro. So that's a pretty powerful little flight controller to put in such a tiny quad for under $100. So I remember when I first started and I built myself like my own little micro that was using an 8-bit, and then some people talked about flying with some F1 controllers in their micros like a Naze, but to have an F3 in a micro is absolutely insane. So this thing should have plenty of processing power. What we should do, we should plug it in and see what version of firmware it's running. Alrighty, so we're going to plug this in right here, so hopefully no smoke, because this is going to be the first time that I've powered it up. Alrighty, so let's see. Now I'm just going to show you a screenshot. So I'm connecting with CleanFlight. Oh, it's saying failed to open serial port. Let's try that again. Oh, installing driver software. Hang on, we'll just have to wait a minute till my computer's ready. Alrighty, so that just took a little while for the USB to sort of install itself on my old ancient computer. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the CLI and type version. And we are running version 1.13 of CleanFlight, and it's using the SP Racing F3 Evo firmware. So what I think I might do, should I update this to Betaflight? I'm not 100% sure. Nah, we'll leave it as it is. We'll test it out as it is. Now, just a bit more info on this receiver. Why I've got it hooked up, I think it might be running S-Bus, because it's got the RX serial there in the CleanFlight configuration tab, so it is not selected as PPM. So that's pretty exciting that this is an S-Bus receiver. Rightio, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make myself a model, and we'll see...
Welcome to OpenTX.
Thank you. We'll see just how well we can bind this up to our radio and see how easy it is. Rightio, so I'm going to go into the menu, and I'm going to do this one. This is one I was mucking around with the other day. So let's select this model. I'm going to rename this. We'll call it the... What is this? The QX90. Alrighty, so there's my model, and now what we're going to do, we're going to go up, exit this, let's go right to the bottom of this menu, and you have to make sure that you're on D8, so let's go through and we'll put our receiver in bind mode. So that's going to be chirping away. Alrighty, so now what I need to do is, while holding down the failsafe button, just here on the little receiver, I also need to plug it in. So let me use all my fingers right here. Let's see how we go. I think we got a solid light. Blah, 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 blah. The green LED on the receiver will turn off. Oh, it did turn off. There we go. This indicates the bind process was successful. Now you can tell that is bound because we've got this light here, and if I turn my radio off, hopefully that light should disappear maybe. Oh, there we go. So it's flashing, and if I turn my radio back on...
Welcome to OpenTX.
I've heard that so many times. We should get a solid connection. There we go. So you can definitely tell that this receiver is talking to my radio. That was really easy to bind, actually. Alright, and it's worth noting that these motors won't spin up in its current configuration when it's armed. So it's actually armed now, and we can see that little light coming on just here. And that is on the 5th channel. So on my 5th channel on your, whatever you set up on your Tyrannus, that's going to be your arm switch. So there we go. I've just set that up. And if I gave this a little spin, let's see, how we go. Oh, definitely armed. Rightio, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it back together, and I did just find out about the fail-safe. It's not set up just to kill the motors on, which is a little bit of a shame. So I think I'm going to go in, I'm going to set the motors to if it loses connection or something that it's just going to shut down, because at the way it's set up, it looks like it's in its last position, or it just started spinning anyway. Anyway, I'm going to put this back together, and then I'm going to, I guess we'll have a look at some of the props and the tools, and then I also want to talk about the possibility of putting a prop guard on here. Okie dokie, now let's talk about the battery. I really love the way the battery fits in just here. That is almost perfect, but what I do not like is this part right here. So this is simply a sticky pad that you're meant to stick on, and that is how you attach your battery. But if you keep doing that, eventually this is not going to be sticky anymore and your battery is just going to fall off. So what a much better solution would be, instead of this, I wish they supplied you with one side of like the hooked Velcro, and then you had two pieces of, like, I guess the loop side, and you could just Velcro on your battery on and off. I think that would be much better than having one of these sticky solutions. What I'm actually going to do is put some little loom bands. I'm going to loop them around, and we should be able to hold our battery in place if we sort of put them across here. Alrighty, and then the other thing I think, which is, which I don't know why they haven't included something like this. Now this is a prop guard off my very, very first quadcopter. So this one's a little bit special to me actually. This is off the original Hubsan that I first bought. It's not actually going to fit this one because the motor sizes are different. You can see just here we've got some 7mm motors, and just here we've got 8.5. But if they included something like this, it would make flying a lot easier around the house, because look, every time, as soon as you touch a wall or something like this, you're going to be out of the sky. But if you're using this thing, well, out of the air anyway, I don't think you're going to be going too high with this. But if you're using this thing, you're going to be bouncing off the walls and having a lot more flight time. And it's not very heavy anyway, it's only like 3 or 4 grams. So what I think I'm going to do, even though it's not going to be elegant, I think I'm actually going, because you can see just how well it would fit if it was in there. What I think I am actually going to do is maybe just glue this into the bottom. If you are going to do this, you need to make sure though that you don't cover up these 2 holes that are in the bottom of your motors, because they need those so they don't catch on fire. Alrighty, I'm going to glue that, and then I'm going to fly it around. Alrighty, so you can see what I actually ended up doing. It didn't really feel the best, but I ended up cutting just the little clips just here, cutting little circles, the 7mm circles, and then being able to clip it around the motor. And that's going to make it easy for me to take the prop guard on and off. I don't even have to remove the propellers. And one thing that I should also note as well, a little bit of improvement is, because it's an 8-channel receiver and they've got the 5th channel set up as an arm switch, they really should make the 6th channel set up so it can switch from like horizon or angle mode to acro mode. So if you're trying to get this thing on acro, you definitely need to plug it into the computer and make sure you change where that 6th channel is going. Rightio, so before I show you the flight footage, there's a couple of things I do want to talk about after taking it out and giving it a bit of a spin. So the first thing to note is, when I first tried to fly this, one of my motors was dodgy. So what would happen, I was taking it up, and I'll show some flight footage now. I was taking it up and it was pretty much just spinning uncontrollably. The yaw was really hard. It was always yawing, I guess, in a clockwise direction. And what I thought was, and it turned out to be the problem, that one of the motors was slightly weaker. So what I had to do, I replaced the motor and it flew so much better. Once I had switched that motor out, this thing was a dream to fly. Even though it's running clean flight, I still felt really, really stable. I love shooting it around the house, and pretty soon I found myself setting up chairs and things to hit little gaps and seeing just where I could take it. So I had a ton of fun flying this around, and I'm definitely going to be putting a lot more stick time onto this, especially because I don't need a module with my Tyrannus. It's just so easy to set up and get flying. Now, big shout out to Banggood for sending this. This was part of like their 10-year anniversary sale or something like that. So thanks very much, Banggood. I'll leave a link in the below. I'll leave a link down below to sort of their anniversary sale, because I think they've got a heap of specials on or something like that. So definitely check that out. Anyway, subscribe for more FPV related content. I'm going to leave you with the rest of this flight footage, and maybe some of it when it was wobbling as well. And you notice I did take off the prop guard. But subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying! I'll put this bit first because I really like hitting that little gap. I was like, yeah, got it, nailed it. Alrighty, so let's have a look flying around my house. They're my wife's drawings too, so I think she's a pretty good artist. So drop a comment actually if you liked those little drawings. I'll be able to show her that, look, people care about art even if they're into quadcopters. Anyway, so here it is flying around the house, and it is much more stable once I've replaced that motor. And keep in mind, this is still on clean flight as well, so I can't imagine just how stable it will be once it is on beta flight. I found it really easy to fly around. The controls felt really, I guess, it just felt good. Didn't feel too floaty or anything like that, and the throttle felt really, really controllable. So it was very, very easy to fly around the house, especially if you've got a tiny house as well. Well, I know my house is tiny, so I found it to be just the right size for flying around my kitchen. Still felt like a lot of fun, and because it was so small, I guess it is really suited much more to sort of an indoor space. Now, I had no issues at all with the VTX, even though it was just 25 milliwatts. I still found it perfectly fine flying around, but admittedly I didn't go too far. It really was pretty much just to the end of the kitchen and back, so I had no issues at all. If you took it outside and you're going through a few more bushes or something like that, you might encounter some problems. Right there, I feel like it really does have speed, or a lot more speed than I can handle around the house. So if you sort of plant it forward, you're definitely going to realise that. I think I clipped the chair here, yeah. Little clip the chair here, and it was surprisingly durable. Like usually, I think I'd have to go and pick a quad up or anything like that, but in this one, it just seemed to keep going. Especially on this crash right here, somewhere. Excuse me, right there, nailed that chair leg, and I was amazed it just sort of popped back up and kept going. So that was pretty cool. I think I did have to go put the battery in or something. So then starting off on the bench again. Oh, look at those great artworks. Hint. And then flying around, and then yeah, I just had a ton of fun because this is probably the smallest quadcopter I have. Well, I guess it's only 90 millimeters long, and by the frame being made out of carbon, super light, and it's getting pretty good flight times as well. One thing I did notice was that the props sometimes would come off, so if you got a bit of a dodgy prop, I swapped mine out after a little bit, but yeah, they can come off, and because they're not screwed down or anything like that, they can be a little bit difficult to track down. So definitely if you're going to order one of these, order some spare hubs and props, because it's going to save you a lot of heartache. I think they're really cheap, and you don't want to be grounded when you've got this little fun thing you can fly around anyway. You don't want to be waiting for like a 2 or 3 cent prop. I thought, yeah, I can hit that gap. No. Absolutely not. It was way too small. Sometimes maybe I was feeling a little bit ambitious. So what I did, I went and removed that cushion and then thought I'd have another crack at hitting that gap between the chairs, sort of underneath the backrest just there. There's my little DVR recorder that I use to record all this DVR sort of footage. So that's I find that works really well because my Attitudes V2 do not have that. Flying around here, so there I'm just sort of practicing, I guess, the gap and making sure I can line it up properly. And then I thought, yeah, all right, I'll hit it. Why not? Let's have a bit of fun. What's the worst that can happen? Get some cool footage. So yeah, whoop. Yeah, really liked that one. That was a lot of fun. And then I think I tried it a third time, but I don't even know what I was trying on this time. Maybe I think I was going to plan to go to the left, and it just didn't work out that well. And then yeah. Anyway, subscribe for more FPV related content. I've pretty much just been rambling this whole time. But yeah, happy flying. Oh, check out my awesome sort of slippers too. They're my wife's mum knitted them for me. They're like these real baggy sort of bed sock things. Such an old man. Anyway, happy flying.